Hey, welcome. We actually have a name. It's Syllable Stumble. I am your primary host, or one of the primary hosts, Knack. And with me, I've got Delta.
Hi, I'm Delta.
Yeah, so we recorded a test podcast some time ago. I'm not going to give specifics, but it was some time ago. And that went really well. So this is actually going to be like our maiden voyage.
It's like what's that? Christening, that's the term. Like bottle of champagne break on the bow of the ship as you
Yes,
release
Delta's
it.
going to take a champagne bottle and crack it over my skull.
I don't have any champagne bottles, I have whiskey bottles.
That would hurt
But
so much more because they're so much thicker and heavier than a
yeah,
champagne
this
bottle.
this thing is quite heavy.
Yeah, because like they're do you know the reason why most hard liquor bottles have like a really thick glass base?
No, and I'm curious, but I feel like we should get our intro out of the way before you tell me about that.
Oh, that's the intro. Me and you, our names, and this is the podcast.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Okay, look, I'm
I,
not.
I thought that intro was perfectly serviceable.
I thought it was good too, but I didn't know if you had more information you wanted to give with it.
No, we're just two individuals, two friends that have known each other for, well, we've known each other for like 5 or so years now, right?
Something like that, wasn't it? 20. Oh, it was
20,
like
it was like
2016 or
2017.
2017. Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking if I was wrong, then it would have been like early 2018, but no, I think that we
Oh
did
no, it
first
was not
talk.
that late.
Maybe it was like summer, spring or summer, like around this time, 2017, something like that.
No, because I'm almost positive. What was the Hillbilly Days that Kita and you invited me to? Because that
That
was
was
2017,
2017.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had known you for 6 months by then. At that point.
Oh, wow. So it was 2016, like late 2016.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. Um, so yeah, like we just wanted to do this podcast as like a fun thing to do and just put out there because like we just enjoy talking.
Yeah, and a way to spend time with each other.
Yeah, and I like the idea popped in my head because I've just been watching so many different podcasts as of late, and I don't know if that's like a byproduct of just getting older, where it's like this is the kind of media I'm going to consume at this age.
It might be, and it honestly makes me think of how my dad actually laughed when I told him I was getting more into podcasts lately, and he's like, "So that's your generation's form of talk radio for sure, huh?" And I was like,
It kind of
"I
is.
it is," and I was like, "I don't know what you mean." Like at first, because I didn't make the connection in my head, but he was like, "Well, you just like listening to people talk. You like having that as background noise," and I was like,
It's
"Well,
good
yeah, kind
background
of."
noise,
And he was
and
he was like, it started for him when he was about my age, so like mid 20s, and
exactly.
I guess that's just what's happening.
It's good background noise, and you get to like peer into somebody's
Yeah.
life that you find interesting. Like it's just like the most interesting people make for the best talkers, and they're just like out there sharing. And there's a lot of interesting stuff that needs to be shared by those kinds of people. Like for instance, the kind of podcast that fit that bill. The first things that I can think of are like Steve-O's Wild Ride, Two Bears One Cave with Burt Kreischer and Tom Segura, like these really funny, interesting guys that have done a lot with their lives.
That's on the flip side. Most of what I listen to is just stuff that captures my attention pretty, I would say, rapidly. Because most of what I listen to is like really informative podcasts. Like I'm really hooked on Black Box Down, which is like, how do I describe it? They always say it's like, oh, true crime in the air, except it's not really true crime because there's not really crimes being actively intentionally committed. It's more of just about like commercial aviation disasters. Um and
So
then
it is like you said, that informative side.
yeah, but then my friend also my supervisor at work mentioned a podcast to me. I don't remember what it was called, but it seemed up my alley, and she said episodes are like between 15 and 30 minutes, and it's just bites of drama that's like in somebody else's life, and they have like a constant rotating cast of like random people that they'll invite onto the show, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, this is some stupid shit that's happening in my life right now," and
See,
they'll go on
that's
and
the best
explain
kind
it in
of
detail.
that's the best kind of podcast in my opinion. Is like
Yeah.
those where like you just hear interesting stories.
Or you get all these
Like
like fresh perspectives on stuff.
here's something that happened to me in the last week. Now a week and a half, but in the span of 7 days, this happened to me, and I thought it was absolutely fucking crazy. All
Mm-hmm.
right, so um, I recently got back in touch with this girl who I had worked with, and we hadn't talked in over a year, right?
Okay.
Like we had each other on social media, hadn't spoken in a year, and it was for no particular reason. It wasn't like a falling out or anything, or there was like a misunderstanding, and we just had to stop talking to each other. It's just you get busy, stuff happens. Hadn't
Life and
talked to her in a year.
directions.
Yeah, so I hadn't talked to her in a year until I had to work with her again, right?
Okay.
And let's see here, what was it? About a few days into that, like just talking again, she's like, yeah, I'm sorry I'm super busy and then I've been sick and all this going on, yada yada, but we should really try to make some plans. And I'm like, oh, all right, that'd be cool. Like if you wanted to hang out or something. And she's like, yeah, during the summer I would be a lot more free, so we can try to do something then. I'm like, all right, that's cool. And then literally the next day, I get an ad on Snapchat, like not an advertisement, but somebody adds me on Snapchat, and it is one of my high school ex-girlfriends.
Huh.
And she's like, hey, it's been a long time since we've talked, like 2+ years since we've talked,
Yeah.
and I think it would be cool to see you and catch up with you. And I'm like, what is happening?
Talk about a convergence.
Seriously, I was like, I'll roll with this for now. I don't know if anything's set in stone, but this is wild.
Right.
And a few days after that, like 2 days after that, I wake up to this message. Let me find it.
Mm-hmm.
I wake up to this from another girl I have not spoken to consistently in about 6 years. Yeah, 7 a.m. Get a random message from her, and she says, you live like right down the road from me, right? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, yeah, did you move back? Because this girl's moved around a little bit, and she moved back close to me, and she's like, we talked normally for a little bit, and then I steer the conversation back, and I'm like, so did you ask about, or did you bring up living near each other because you want to hang out sometime? And she's like, duh, you fucking idiot, you moron, I want to hang out with you.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, this is the most attention I've received from various people in I don't know how long. Mm-hmm. It's just like it's kind of overwhelming, but kind of cool too. I wasn't like trying to like take this anywhere, like hook up with these girls or anything dubious like that.
Dubious.
But I just thought it was weird,
Yeah.
Like just this completely unprompted, like it's one of those situations where you're like, am I living in a simulation right now? Am I being tested?
Not the simulation. something like the Matrix is broken or whatever. Okay. I haven't seen the Matrix, so I can't make that reference technically, but I have seen posts online, usually on Reddit or on 4chan or whatever, that are like, oh, post when the Matrix was broken for you, and it's usually like the same images, but it's like concurrent happenings that are similar if not identical one after another.
Yeah, it's like a repeating pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So this was like for a week, it was like every day to 2 days apart that was happening.
Oh my god.
I make contact, I regain contact with the girl I hadn't spoken with in a year, and then the day after that my ex messages me wanting to make plans, and then 2 days after that the third girl is like, yeah, we need to hang out because we live next to each other and we're actually in the same age group, because I live like there's hardly anybody around my age group around me. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
So it was just a little overwhelming, but I was like, cool, I'm totally down to make plans, because I consider myself to be a fairly extroverted person.
Yeah, no, I get that. I always, I don't know, on the topic of like extroversion, introversion, that kind of stuff. And one of my Discord servers had a discussion about that recently too, where one of my friends, Mish, was talking about the differences because a lot of people don't realize. A lot of people think liking to be alone is introversion, but the difference comes in how you personally recharge for like your day or whatever, and
Hmm.
being near people and recharging from that is typically extroversion, whereas recharging alone, scrolling social media, whatever, is introversion. But a lot of people conflate it with, oh, you like to be alone, you're an introvert. Oh, you like to be with other people, you're an extrovert.
I think
And
that part of it is like selective. Like you can choose to live the way that you want to.
partly, yes, but
Yeah, I mean there could be certain like mental or social barriers, but for the most part, I'm pretty sure that like a lot of people choose that kind of lifestyle, whether they're intro or extro.
yeah, there's definitely a trend in how it like manifests and how it impacts behavior and sociability, we'll say, but there's a lot of misconceptions and a lot of sweeping generalizations that get made about it. And I remember she was really passionate about this in the discussion last night. She was, because um she's into psychology, and she takes a lot of these like personality style like classifications with a grain of salt, just because that's how psychologically we are all different in every single way. However, there are, of course, ways to group us under umbrellas and under umbrella terms and all that kind of stuff. And she was like, yeah, here's some of your misconceptions and whatever, and here's how it actually is. And I thought that was kind of interesting.
Have you ever taken how many community or not community how many communication classes have you taken in your time at college?
The important ones that I remember so far have been intercultural communication, gender comm, and interpersonal communication. I'm going to be taking, well, no, I'm not going to be. The next semester that I have college, because I'm taking a break of at least 2 semesters, if not more. Um, the next one that I want to put on my plate is nonverbal communication, just because I really want that, like, under my belt, but also some of the other not some of the other classes that I want to take to fill out my like class portfolio and my credits that I need to graduate, um that I want to take are psychologically or philosophically inclined, just because I feel like that goes hand in hand pretty well with communication as well.
It really does. I enjoyed the psych classes that I took, and I took those before I decided to become a comm major.
Mm-hmm.
And the main thing I wanted to ask was if you had taken interpersonal, because that's where I learned about this extremely cool concept about knowns and unknowns.
Yeah, and
So like
it's
you
like this
have
whole Punnett
known,
square too.
yeah, you have for those that don't know, you have the known, which is something that you know about yourself and other people know about you. It's a fact that is shared internally and externally about yourself. Then
Right.
you have an unknown known, which is what an unknown known
An unknown known was
is when you
known
know something about
to,
yourself
yeah.
and others do not. So it is something that you keep to yourself, information that is purely internalized.
Like a
Then you
secret.
have what?
Oh, it's just like a secret.
And then you have a known unknown, or was it? Did I just say that?
No, you said unknown known.
Okay, you have a known unknown, which is something that others know about you, but you don't know. So it's a secret that's like it's like a secret that's being kept from you. And then you have an unknown unknown, which is information that basically hasn't been confirmed yet. Like it's something that you don't know about yourself and others don't know about yourself yet. Like if you went out and you tried a new dish at a restaurant and you had never considered it before, but you find out you like that and you're with friends and they see that you're enjoying it, you're like, oh, I didn't know that about myself that I like Italian food. That's like a really tame example of that.
No, but
Like,
it makes
well,
sense though. The
I
one
think the
thing,
most extreme example of that is just like you're adopted. I think that's like as far as you
Talking
can
about the
take
known
that.
unknowns.
No, yeah,
I think that was the hardest one to wrap my mind around because there's so few instances where there's a known unknown. Because that's usually done for like ironic story plot telling, like that kind of shit that you learn in high school English class or whatever. Um,
that whole concept is so scary. Like
yeah,
if someone or a group of people knows this about you that you don't know, and
right.
then like you only like learn about it from like a vague perspective. That's just like unsettling.
But in the same vein, it could also just be something that you forgot about, like because for example, oh excuse me,
Oh, like forgetting an appointment or something.
not necessarily. Well, that would fall into it, but I was thinking like in the vein of like you mentioning like the food preferences and stuff like that. I consistently forget what my favorite chapstick flavor is, and I always, whenever I'm at the store, I have to text my one friend, "Hey, what was my favorite chapstick flavor again?" And he always tells me because I always fucking forget.
Right now, I'm rocking a pineapple or not. Oh, wait, what? I thought this was pineapple this whole time. I've been using coconut.
Is it coconut pear Burt's Bees?
No, it's like from a local place
Ah.
and it's apparently USDA organic carefree
Ooh.
coconut. I swear to God, I thought it was pineapple this whole time because it has a yellow wrapper on it.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
Um, Speaking of favorite foods, I ate a lot today. Like a
I
lot.
I have had um the kind of popcorn that comes in a bag,
Bag
and
corn.
well, you know, like the clear bags of popcorn that you can buy at the like at the
You buy
grocery
them at
store.
like, yeah, grocery stores, street vendors, stuff like that.
Yeah, I've had that, and I've had generic cheese balls, and I've had an unholy amount of gummy candy.
We had family over and it was like we had as much food as we would have on Thanksgiving. It was so much.
That reminds me, actually. So we on Friday night we sent off one of my friends because she accepted a English as a second language, like an English teacher position in Japan, and she's in Japan now. Her flight has her
Oh,
flights
that
have
must
gone
be
well and
so
everything.
awesome.
Yeah, it was really exciting for her. But for her going away party, her family was like, "Oh, we're gonna get you some cuisine, some American cuisine that well, how did they word it? We're gonna get you some American cuisine that you're not gonna be able to really get over there, and we're gonna make it really nice and really good, and you're gonna have a great time." You wanna know what they set up? They set up a
Please tell me. Wait,
fucking
well, hold on. Please tell me it was hamburgers,
no,
hot dogs, stadium peanuts,
no,
pizza.
no.
Um.
I'll give you a hint. It wasn't American.
Okay. Was it goulash?
No.
Was
What
it
is goulash?
I don't know, but it doesn't sound American.
No, it doesn't.
I have no idea what goulash is. Was it European?
No,
Was it Japanese?
no.
Oh fuck, what was it? What'd they make her?
They made a taco bar.
That is so cute. I love.
It's very cute because it's not easy to get like Mexican cuisine in Japan.
No, it's not,
Um,
and it's also like you look at like America, and like one of the big things in America is food trucks, and like almost every
yeah.
kind of food truck has their own like version of a street taco.
The really funny thing was that it was the first time that I've ever had what they were calling a walking taco, which is
Oh,
it's just taco salad in a bag. You just put
oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah. They had like a taco bar set up, and you could make actual tacos. You could make soft tacos. You could make walking tacos, and they had like a bag of Doritos, or like the mini bags of Doritos, and I kind of nudged my friend. I was like, "Hey, what's that for? And she was like, that's for walking tacos. And I'm like, what on earth are you saying to me? And she was like, here, I'll teach you how to make them. Those those things instantly teleported me to like middle
Did it change your
school.
whole perspective
Oh yeah,
of?
they were really good.
Did it change your whole perspective on like street food?
Well, because it wasn't intended to be like street food necessarily, even though that's what it ended up actually being. But
You know, there's one specific food truck that I want to go to. Like, I want to try and find my way to it as long as it takes me. And I remember seeing it. I didn't watch a lot of MTV, even when I was a teenager growing up and stuff like that. Um, but do you remember Rob and Big?
I do not recognize that name whatsoever.
So it's two individuals, Rob Dyrdek and Big, and that was like his nickname.
Yeah.
And like I said, I didn't know a whole lot about the show, but it was called Rob and Big. And Rob Dyrdek, he was like a famous skateboarder, and he also had Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory. He's appeared on Jackass a number of times. He's friends with all those guys, and he had a big sponsor with DC shoes and skateboards, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So he was a big name, and they had a show called Rob and Big. And like, I remember being over at families and they were watching MTV. Rob and Big was on, and at the very beginning of the episode, they're like, "Big man, I'm hungry. What are we gonna get?" And then Big looks over at a food truck and he's like, "I don't know about you, but I feel about grilling them all. I want to grill them all." And it pans over to this food truck that is like decked out in like 80s Metallica like iconography and symbolism.
Yeah.
And it's called Grill 'Em All, like a reference to Metallica's Kill 'Em All debut album.
Yeah.
And it's a big sandwich truck, and I would love to go and try what they got. I
Is
don't
that
remember what they ordered on the show, but like, it just sounds like a place I would love to eat.
I have to see if this is a real food truck.
It's definitely real. Like, I remember verbatim, Rob said, or Big was like, "I want to grill them all." And now I feel like grilling them all.
It's in California.
Yeah, because they live in LA.
They got hot dog burgers? That sounds delightful.
Is that a hot dog in a burger?
That's what it looked like.
I
I
would
wish
eat
I had a
that.
scroll mule. Okay,
I would totally
unironically,
eat
these
that.
look like they slap.
Yeah, like, I don't know who runs the food truck, but I would go there on the merit of their name alone.
They actually have a store. Or not a
They
store.
have like an online store?
They have an online store for merch. They have
Oh, that's so cool.
they have an actual food truck, and they also have a brick and mortar shop.
That is so cool. I'm gonna look that up.
They've had um a lot of people, like famous people here, because like hell, even I recognize some of these names, like Tommy Lee,
Yeah.
Municipal Waste, D.
Oh,
Snyder,
dude, I used to listen to Municipal Waste so much back in high school. Like,
Black Dahlia Murder was there.
there's one track by Municipal called "You're Cut Off," and it's like a 2-minute song, but it's like thrash and
Oh my
speed
god.
metal in like one track. I'll have to show it to you. There's even like a whole animated music video for that track. Yeah, it appears as though their burger of the month is a hot dog burger. It's called the "I Want to Be Your Dog," aka Motor City Machine Gun. House-made coney chili, hot dog, diced onion, American cheese, and it's just like pouring over the bun.
It looks so good.
Yeah, it's a lot. Oh my god. Now you see why like this captivated me, you know?
Oh
Because
yeah, absolutely.
I've not eaten at many food trucks because they just don't exist here. Maybe like 2 or 3 in my whole life, and that's excluding Hillbilly Days. Which, by the way, we talked about Hillbilly Days a little bit. I think we should probably like actually mention what that is.
Oh yeah, probably.
So
Yeah, you can
it's
take it.
it's very close to where I live. It's like a lower Appalachia. Well, not even lower. It's central Appalachia because I keep forgetting how big it is. But it's a central Appalachia festival that takes place in eastern Kentucky once a year, and it hasn't been around for a little while because of COVID, which is very unfortunate because it's one of the very few things that I really look forward to going to.
I hope it happens next year. If it happens next year, I'm coming.
If it's going to be here this year, it'll probably be here next year.
Is it
So
going to be there this year?
yeah, we're doing it next week. It's literally next week.
That's fucked up. That's when man. If I would have known that, I would have come down. I would have
Oh my God.
actually made time with my job and been like, "Hey, I'm not able to come down these couple days."
Okay, well, to be fair, I would have told you if I had found out more than over a month ago. I didn't know until about a month ago.
Okay, that's fair. Well, if they're doing
So,
it this year, then they're almost definitely doing it next year, and I will be there next year then.
yeah, hopefully. And obviously, when I go, and whoever I go with, I'm going to be safe, wear a mask, even though it's like a huge public event, because there's literally like over maybe 300,000 people that move through the city during that time.
I was about to
It's
say, since it's the first one
ridiculous.
in a couple years, I don't doubt that it's probably going to have a massive pull.
Well, I mean, it's either going to be massive or it's going to be like lower than expected. Who knows? Either
I
way,
don't think it'll be piddly.
I'm going to go. No, I mean, it's not going to be tiny, but I don't know like what the projections for most Hillbilly Days are. But in a nutshell, Hillbilly Days is like this 3-day citywide festival. The streets are cleared out, the parking garages are cleared out, the hotels are completely booked, and the streets are filled with vendors, what is it? Food trucks, like beverage dispensers, like anything and everything you could possibly think of that would go on in a normal like street fair. There's a whole indoor flea market that moves in and out in those 3 days. There's a carnival that takes place like down in the big parking lot where our movie theater is, and it is just so much fun walking around the city, seeing people you know, and it's all for charity too. Like it's done for Shriners, right? So like
Shriners
it's not.
Hospital?
Yeah, it's all orchestrated and all the money. It's orchestrated by Shriners, and all the money goes to them too.
I never realized that. That's so cool.
Maybe not all, but like a good share of the money goes to Shriners, especially because they also there's a parade on the last day as well. Like that's the big ender is that there's a parade, and it's all for Shriners, so they don't just do it for anything, and it's been going for like I think almost 80 years,
80?
maybe longer.
That's so
It's been going for a long time. And I don't think I get tired of it. I really don't. I know that there's a lot of people I like whenever I talk to my parents about it or my grandparents, like they're like, "Yeah, we're too old for it now." But I'd seriously like I still feel it, and I'm just like, this is so much fun. And like that one year whenever you were with us, it was oh my God, it was great.
I thought it was really fun. I really enjoyed myself.
You want to know? Do you want to know why that Hillbilly Days? I look back upon that one specifically, 2017, so fondly.
Why?
It's because that's one of like the last enjoyable memories that I had before I got with this one girl, and that was a huge disaster.
I feel like I vaguely remember that.
Oh my God, it was not. It was not a fun time in my life, and one of my friends thought that like I just completely stopped talking to him because I got with this girl.
Oh.
Like he believed that she was controlling my entire life and that I wasn't allowed to interact with anybody else. That's how bad it got. That wasn't like the case at that point though. That was just because back then we all used Skype, and Skype was like the most unreliable piece of shit program ever. I would not get notifications on Skype.
God, I hated Skype. I'm so glad we have Discord now.
Yeah, I wouldn't get notifications, not even like missed call notifications from Skype. It was so aggravating.
Yeah.
And after like 3 or 4 weeks, it had been a little while. I finally just decided to check Skype, and I see messages from him, and he's just like, "Please tell me that this isn't because of your girlfriend, and that things are still okay with us, and that you're not being told to do this and that you're still like everything's still normal."
Right.
And like that kind of scared me because I was like, "Oh God, is that what they've been thinking this whole time?"
God
So
dang.
yeah, that Hillbilly Days was like amazing because at least I got to have fun with that before everything came crashing down later that year.
Yeah.
And now hopefully this one's going to be good too. So
Yeah.
very much excited for this one. Do
God.
you guys have like a local fair or anything? Like anything special that you guys do?
Um, not that I can think of. The only like things that well, let me look this up to see if I'm getting the name right. Um, because if I recall correctly, there's like Akron. There's like here it is. The Summit County Italian American Festival it's usually held downtown. I almost said downstairs. It's usually held downtown like in July, I think. And it's just
Oh,
like
July. That would be so hot.
yeah, it's a bit nasty. But
Like
it's, to celebrate Italian heritage and culture in a local setting.
like
Um,
Hillbilly Days is in April, and it can get hot in late April too.
yeah.
Especially because it's like an unspoken rule that it has to rain during Hillbilly Days. It'll rain at like the right time during that 3 day period to where at least one day will come after that big rain, and it'll be sunny and hot all day and
And
just
just
get extremely
so
humid.
yeah.
It's unfucking bearable.
So glad that we didn't have to deal with that in 2017.
Yeah,
We
it was
we
actually
didn't
pretty
have
nice
the nasty
there.
day.
And we went like kind of during the evening, so we went like as the sun was setting and got to hang out until late. So
Yeah, I
that
think
was
yeah.
enjoyable. And like it's just that's what I'm really looking forward to. Like, 'cause, when you're a kid, you want to go on all the carnival rides and you want to play all the carnival games and get scammed. But
Mhm.
when you're an adult, it's just nice going around, seeing everything, maybe pick up a souvenir. And there's one really cool vendor that is normally there, and they do homemade soaps, and they make your hands and your feet so incredibly soft.
Yeah.
Like they'll rub on a free sample for you, kind of like a trial, and it's exactly as advertised. Like they'll tell you as they're doing it,
Mhm.
it has this and this and that. It's paraben free, and here's how we make it. And now that we're done, that's gonna keep your hands soft and silky smooth for 3 days, and it really does.
The funny thing with paraben free and stuff, and this is completely an A side for a second. The funny thing about paraben free is that I've seen so many people get it mixed up with paraffin, like the wax, and paraffin wax is a necessity in a lot of cosmetics,
Yeah,
even just a little bit, as I think an emulsifier, if I recall correctly. And people will mix up those two, and they'll be like, "Oh, this has paraffin in it. I don't want it." And I'm like, that's a necessity actually." And they're like, "No, I don't want the paraffins." And I'm like, "Okay,
is
that's
that what? But you're supposed to like for shampoos, you're supposed to avoid parabens, right?
sulfates is actually what you're supposed to avoid." But
Is
at
paraben a type of sulfate, or am I wrong?
I don't remember what parabens are. I have a friend who really likes to do these kinds of mixtures and stuff for lotions and shampoos, and he homebrews like all this other kind of stuff, and it's really interesting to like listen to him talk about it. But goddamn if I don't retain shit from when he talks about it. All I know is that some of the terminology and that kind of stuff, and then I just forget the rest of it.
I feel like it's a pretty normal thing. Is like when you have a friend that is so into this niche hobby or topic, and they try to explain shit to you, and you want to support them, but you don't want to seem like uninterested or just not uninterested. What's like it's where you're not as deep into that subject as they are.
I mean, I would think uninterested is a good descriptor there. It's just not in a negative way, because usually people, when they say uninterested, or like when they say I don't like this thing, they do mean the
Like,
opposite, that
you're
they
like
dislike it.
indifferent.
And yeah, indifferent.
Yeah, you're indifferent towards it because like it doesn't have the same impact on you as it did them.
Right.
But I still think that like when I have friends talk to me about their interests that I don't like really sink my teeth into, I think that that's a cool thing that they're willing to share that with me because like everybody's got their friend circles. Like you don't associate this friend circle with that friend circle, so you talk to this specific group about you know whatever's on your mind. Like I've got fighting game friends, I've got D&D friends, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, there might be a little bit of overlap there, but uh, it's really cool whenever you got somebody that's loosely attached to another like subject, and they want to be open with that to you,
Mm-hmm.
because that means that like you have like a certain level of trust with them.
Yeah.
Like I like it may not seem like it, and I swear to God, I'm not lying. But whenever you or Kita talk to me about K-pop, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Tell me more.
I always see. I would talk to you about it more. It's just A, I know you definitely get it from Kita, and I know that it can get overwhelming sometimes. But also
I
B,
actually really don't.
really?
No, he hardly ever talks to me about it.
Huh?
He'll tell me like the single's coming out. This they're making this comeback, or there was this post and it's caused this drama or something like that. But
Oh
like
God, I love dipping into the drama.
yeah, but he never goes into it super far. He'll just like give me a rundown, but won't like offer me a lot of his own thoughts. I think it's because
Mm.
like I think it's because he's afraid that I won't like properly reciprocate, which I mean I might not, but I still like want to hear, you know.
I can understand that to an extent, because usually whenever I talk about that kind of stuff, whenever I talk about K-pop, or whenever I talk about like, and this is objectively more niche, but the commercial airplane stuff, like the aviation thing that I like, whenever I talk to somebody about it, I usually like to have, how would you describe it?
You
Yeah,
want to like cut
reciprocation to
down.
an, huh?
Oh, that's what you never. I thought you were talking about something else. I thought you just go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think I like to have an active. I I hesitate to say audience, but that's usually what it ends up turning into, because I'll just start info dumping about airplanes or K-pop or whatever. But I like to have an active conversation partner when it comes to that kind of stuff, and it's very hard for me in general to read like tone and stuff through text, or through even like through voice conversations like this right now. It can be really difficult for me to know what you're getting at, or understand your tone, or anything like that, just
That's
because.
such a huge universal problem.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, I don't want to overstep or realize, like, I don't want to keep talking when I'm not like welcome in that space anymore, I guess would be the best way to word it, even though that's still not the best way to word it. Cuz like, I have a friend who I used to talk to a lot about K-pop, and he doesn't like K-pop.
Yeah.
He doesn't dislike it, but it's just not his thing. And I used to talk about it to him for a while, because I was to the impression that we were like, sharing our interests and stuff. And then he took me aside one day and he was like, "Listen, I really could not give less of a shit about your K-pop stuff. It kind of annoys me when you talk so in depth about it, and I'm very clearly not responding because I don't want you to continue the conversation." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So then I got in my own head about that, and just haven't really talked about K-pop to anybody who isn't in those circles, if that makes sense.
No, I get where you're coming from because like it really does shut you off from it because you don't want to impose and
Yeah.
you don't want to like steer somebody away in case like you think that you could like reignite some kind of interest,
Right.
you know? So it's just a matter of how you approach a topic. and how somebody reciprocates. Like it's that that kind of feedback that you get, which
Yeah.
is, like I said, that's a big universal problem with a lot of communication. Is like how you read somebody, how you interact in general, like that kind of give and take that you get whenever you're fishing for a conversation, or um, whenever you want to try and make a connection with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Because I fully believe that everybody wants to like try and just meet new people and understand different perspectives. Like that's just an important part of life.
Yeah, and it's also like, I don't know, we are social creatures at a like socio-physiological layer level, whatever you want to call it. Like, yeah, sure, you can make arguments that human nature is fabricated, human nature is fake, or whatever, like all that kind of stuff. And of course, there are outliers as well, where there's people who obviously do not like socializing with other people. There's people who are afraid of it to some extent. There's all these other like things that go on, but at a base level, most of us are social creatures and want to make connections with other humans.
Oh yeah. I think one of the best examples of that is FOMO.
Yeah. Oh, for
Like
sure.
that's even if you're like at a family event and they're about to do something without you, like it's not like you want to sit back and not be a part of that, right?
Right. And actually, that reminds me too. There's a group that's touring currently, and they're going to be coming to the states. And I was considering getting a ticket to go see them, but I like maybe three of their songs that I've listened to, and I just don't listen to their music a whole lot. I really like a couple of the members, and judging by the stage outfits and everything that I've seen, and all the little solo bits that they're doing for the concert, like exclusively for the concert, as opposed to like their normal set list and stuff like that, this would be a concert that I would be very interested in going to. But I keep having to battle with myself and realize that, hey, it's not worth it to spend like an extra $200 that I don't have to go see a group that I only will enjoy maybe half the concert for, even
Yeah,
if I
because
really enjoy the members.
you got to think about tickets, you got to think about travel, food,
Potential
whether or not
lodging.
whether or not you're staying. Like it's a lot to consider, but you know what I would say? I would say do it because you're fortunate enough to have somebody that you're even mildly interested in that is going to be touring on a spot that you can reach. Because I have never been to like an actual concert. Because there's either, because like, here's the thing, right? The thing that prevents me from going to concerts is that none of the groups that I like either come near here or tour anymore or they're dead.
Yeah.
Like I'm never going to get to see Death. I'm never going to get to see I'm never going to get to see Black Sabbath. I'm never going to get to see probably never going to get to see Iron Maiden. Like it's just not feasible because they don't tour near me. Like it just doesn't happen.
Right.
I think like there was a big concert recently where let's see here, it was Black Veil Brides, Ice Nine Kills, and somebody else, and I had a bunch of friends of mine go to that concert, but I'm like, I'm not into that subgenre of metal.
Right.
I don't even know what you would call like Ice Nine Kills or whatever, but it's not what I like. I like stuff from like 80s and 90s,
Mm-hmm.
heavy metal, thrash metal, certain like speed metal, power metal, sludge metal, like all different stuff like that. You know, just whatever kind of new metal or hardcore or not screamo, but most new stuff I'm just not into. And it's even very rare where there's a new album that'll come out that I'm like completely into. Like Testament's new album came out in 2020. It's called Titans of Creation, and I listened through the whole album and found maybe 3 or 4 tracks that I really liked.
Huh.
They've had a few good albums in the past decade. There was Titans of Creation, and before that was Brotherhood of the Snake, and before that was Dark Roots of Earth. And Dark Roots of Earth is my shit. I love that album, and I might be missing one in between all of those three, but Dark Roots was the last album by Testament that I was like super into.
Yeah.
And so like I don't know if it's like me just being set in my ways, but finding new music is like a little difficult for me at times. So
No, I
like
feel that.
whenever like you say you have that opportunity to go to a group that you're even somewhat interested in, like I think that's something that you should do. I think that's something that you should try and commit to.
See, the issue is also I don't have I don't really have the means to go out and see them because there was a couple other groups that came near me and I actually really enjoy them and I was gonna go see them. I very very was back in December, right before the summer or right before the winter fall semester, right before the fall semester ended, and I was like, this is gonna be my end of semester gift to myself. All this other stuff. And we got there, we got up to Cleveland, we got in line, and my phone buzzed, and what do you know, one of the members got COVID. And so that concert got called off, the rest of the tour got called off, and I never actually got any merch or anything, which made me really sad because I had a shirt that I really liked. But then, a couple months later, another group that I really like came to Cleveland, and I was like, well, shit, I have to take this, right? Because, like, $60 per ticket. I have a friend who will drive me up there. Like, I can't miss this. So we get up there, and the concert actually goes on as normal. I was very pleased about that. I enjoyed the hell out of it, even though I only liked half the set list. And the crowd was weird too, but that's beside the point. But I'm very particular about getting merch, like before or after a concert. I am very particular about obtaining some physical thing from the concert.
Oh
Just
yeah,
because I
because some
have
of that stuff is exclusive.
some of it's
Like some of it,
exclusive,
you just can't get your hands on it anywhere else.
yeah, but also I have like memory issues, and having a physical item from that time can really help me to like remember, hey, this happened. You know what I mean? And I have a long sleeve tour shirt from the One Us concert, and I originally had my reservations about going just because a couple of the members had injuries, and the company wasn't being the best with treating the injuries, and yada yada, all this other shit. But at the same time, it was like it felt like I had to go because A, that was one of my favorite groups at the time, still is, and B, it's not often that a group is going to come to fucking Cleveland
Yeah, yeah.
instead of like Toronto
Like or
or New York.
Columbus.
Oh, not even Columbus. I don't think I've ever seen a group come to Columbus that I like. They usually come to. Usually, the closest places that they come to that I would be able to access would be Chicago or Toronto or New
Philly.
York. New York over Philly, just because my mom doesn't want me to go to Philly.
Oh, okay, I get that.
Yeah,
You want to hear something insane?
sure.
Like I just remembered this because when I was first told this, it made me so angry. You wouldn't believe.
What's up?
I learned a few years ago while I was still in college. I think I was taking a ride with my dad, and maybe it wasn't a ride. He told me somewhere. It was just him and I hanging out. Maybe we were doing some housework, and he brought up that he was initially planning on taking me to see Metallica on my 18th birthday because they had a concert very close to my birthday during that year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why the fuck didn't we go?
Right.
And he's like, well, your mom didn't want us to. And I'm like, you're telling me
Was it a Philly concert?
because what?
Was it a Philly concert?
No,
Oh shit.
no, it was in Louisville.
Oh, what?
Yeah, so I was like, I looked at him like, you're telling me because she said no, you're just gonna take that on the chin? That's ridiculous.
Right, like that would have been an insane birthday gift. First of all.
Yeah, one of my favorite. And like, I didn't find out until I was like, I was past 20.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, I hated my mom for that so much. You have no idea.
I don't blame you.
Like you don't just do that. And I think I know why it was right? I don't think it was because she was afraid of like just me and my dad going out and doing something for like a weekend or whatever it was. I think it was because my mom and I, she hated the way that the way that I acted and the music that I listened to growing up, because I wasn't like, I didn't hide it, right? Like every single day after high school, I would come home and I would do what I needed to do for class the next day, maybe homework or whatever, and then I would
Mm-hmm.
play my guitar. I would just learn guitar, play guitar for several hours in my room, like shut myself in my room and play guitar every single day after school. And it was always, again, it was those classics like Maiden, Megadeth, Metallica, Slayer, uh, Death, maybe some Cannibal Corpse, but like, you know, hard shit like that, right?
Right.
So she obviously hated it, and I would, you know, I fully embraced it, and I got that kind of music taste from my dad. So I don't know if it was on like an extension of her disdain for that music projected onto me and my dad, or like she just didn't get it, or she thought that it like instilled some kind of rebellious behavior in me, whenever
God.
that's not it at all. Because like if your kid likes something that you don't like and you push back against it, that's what's going to make them hate you.
That's what's gonna
Like
make
that.
them hate you, and that's what's gonna make them like it even more than likely.
No, exactly. Like that's like I just wanted to get better and better and just play more. Like I looked into like the Randy Rhoads era of Ozzy Osbourne, Ronnie James Dio along that
Mm-hmm.
line, Motorhead and Judas Priest. What is it? Merciful Fate. All those bands. Like that's all I would ever listen to and learn how to play. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it was just because she hated the fact that I liked it so much. That's why she didn't want me to go. And I'm like, you are the worst fucking person I know. You
Yeah,
truly
that's
are.
ugh. That's so frustrating. Cause like, God, I don't even know what to say to that.
No,
Cause
no,
like,
I was so angry. You have no idea.
I would have been pissed. I think you're right to be pissed as well. Like, I wouldn't
Because
blame you if you were still mad.
these bands are old. Like
Right.
I don't think Metallica's got whole lot of years left in them. Maybe like 10, and that's pushing it.
I feel yeah, that's probably pushing it.
Because like let's see here, next year's actually going to be, what is it? Next year's going to be their 40th anniversary.
Oh,
Next year's going to be 40
yeah.
years of albums and touring. Like I would imagine 40 years of touring, that's going to do a number on you. You're going to probably want to hang it up
Absolutely.
after that.
Mm-hmm.
But Sabbath, I think their The End tour, I think that their last concert was 2018, and they started in 1970.
That's 50.
Almost 50, yeah. Like, and God knows they were definitely past their prime, but you know, Ozzy and Tony and Geezer, they still put on amazing shows and people loved it, or else, you know, it wouldn't have done so well. So, like, they still got it, but I bet that they must have been reluctant to get out there some nights.
Yeah.
And James, you know James Hetfield of Metallica?
No, not by name. Okay.
So James Hetfield is their the Metallica frontman, and he, like I said, I don't think they got a lot left in him, because James recently got admitted to rehab again about 3 months ago. I don't know
Rehab for
exactly.
what? Oh.
I don't know exactly what he relapsed for, but he has been in and out of rehab for a while now. Like
Is
I
it
don't
for
know.
like drug use and stuff?
It's I think it's alcoholism, which
Mm.
is like just worse the older you get, like way worse.
Yeah, that shit starts wreaking havoc on the body like exponentially once you hit
And
a
like
certain
there
age.
there are certain cases where he's been admitted and we don't know the reason why. Like we've just been like there's just been updates like he's recovering, etc., and other updates like he's good to go, he's through rehab. But there have not been like not every time it's been documented there's been given specific reasons why, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just, you know, I think like I said, 10 years is what I would give it before they finally hang it up.
Yeah.
because that's how long Sabbath went. And it's weird to think that there was this time, even in the early 2000s. Do you remember Napster?
Yes.
Do you know why Napster doesn't exist anymore?
Because like online piracy started getting cracked down on, right? Isn't
Um,
that the one that started creating the
it was
copyright
like,
laws for online media?
yeah, it was like the catalyst for all that. But
Yeah.
the man that sued them was Metallica's drummer, Lars Ulrich.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was not happy with people getting Metallica's music for free, and he filed a class action lawsuit against Napster and wiped them.
Ugh.
So shortly after that, this was like the Napster lawsuit didn't spurn this, but shortly after that, there was a period where Metallica feel it was like they were going through like this documentary filming, and it was they got dangerously close to just breaking up entirely and
Oh.
not ever getting back in the studio, nothing. So like having 20 years after that of them still producing and touring, like that's pretty great. And they've done some good stuff after that, like Death Magnetic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's going to come across as a joke because that's like the only thing I've named. They've done other stuff like Saint Anger and Lulu, but both of those albums were not received well. Death Magnetic I thought was pretty good. It was a really good return to form for Metallica from like the early 90s. And I haven't listened to Moth Unto Flame. Moth Unto Flame was their 2017 album. I still haven't listened to it, if I'm being totally honest here.
I mean, I can't necessarily blame you, especially when you, like you mentioned earlier, with your not aversion to like newer music, even by artists that you like, but like I don't know what the right word for it would be other than aversion, but like
Like
that
just like
feels
a
too
comfort
strong.
zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I could listen to classic Megadeth. Like I could listen to Peace Cells forever, but I don't think I could listen to United Abominations or 13 forever. You know, those two albums, they're like on the newer side of Megadeth's career, but Peace Cells was like 86 and it still
Hmm.
holds up extremely well.
I think that's fair. I am growing to be that way about certain artists. Like I haven't listened to anything of Muse's past 2013, and I know that these are relatively newer bands, but like I am still very much a fan of like the late '90s to mid late aughts like Muse sound, and I'm still that kind of that way about Radiohead as well.
Oh,
I
Muse the band, that's what you're saying.
Yeah,
I like
and
Muse.
I do too, but I have not really resonated with anything since the second law. Um, which
It's very rare that a band is like just hit after hit super consistent with their collective works, you know.
the only the only bands that I've encountered that I've had like that have been K-pop groups, but it has been newer groups who have had less music to put out in general. So how I don't know how that'll hold up as the years progress, because like the oldest group that I can think of that I like literally every single song by them is On and Off, and they debuted in 2017. Um,
There's legitimately only one group I can name where they have only gotten better since they debuted.
who is it?
Death.
Hmm.
They were the first ever death metal band, and literally whatever they did, every other death metal band followed.
Well, I mean, yeah, if they're the like blueprint.
Well, it's not even that, like, because they changed a lot, you know.
Ah.
Like, and you can like just go and look at their discography. It's only 7 albums because Chuck died in 2001, which was very unfortunate.
Oh.
But he left behind such a legacy, and the fact that they were constantly evolving, and they really didn't do the same thing twice, and everybody was super into it and took inspiration from that path that they carved. It's so good. And Chuck was just such a nice guy who really felt like he didn't put on a face or anything. Like, there's this really famous interview with him from 1991 after their fourth album came out. It's called
Mm-hmm.
Human, and that doesn't sound like a death metal album. Like, it's called Human,
Right.
and MTV was like, "Why'd you choose the name Death?" And he's like, "I just wanted an extreme name to describe extreme music."
Right.
And he says, I don't like if I'm looking at reality, I don't see a demon eating a person's heart. I see the brutality in people's relationships, all the hardships that they go through in their day-to-day lives, and that's the kind of stuff that I like to write about. And I'm like, that is so profound. Like, you can't get more sincere than that.
I really like that, actually.
You can just watch that interview. You don't even need to look at the lyrics or the music or anything. You can just look into interviews that he's had and just know that he was the real deal. There are statements from other death metal artists, like from like Napalm Death and Cannibal Corpse and Pestilence, all those guys from like the late 80s and early 90s. And I don't remember who said it specifically, but there's a statement that was taken, and they said, Chuck is definitely not a poser. You could go to one of their shows and he'll come out in shorts and sandals and he will rock the house all night long.
I love that.
He's, I really, really wish I could have seen it.
That reminds me vaguely of something, but I'm not remembering exactly what.
You can
We
go
can
with your
talk about
brain
it next
fart.
time. Yeah, I had a thought that formulated that I was like, oh, I'm gonna connect this to what he's talking about, and then it just left. So
Knowing you, you're just gonna like message me about it. You're gonna like in like a panic state. You're gonna be like, "This is what I meant to tell you."
yeah, probably. That's how I operate.
So got anything else you want to say?
No, not that I can think of.
All right, well then we'll call that a wrap. This has been Syllable Stumble, and we will try to keep this on track for as long as possible. Thank you for listening, and have a good one.
Hell yeah.